This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Richard Davenport, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports, now joins us. And Richard, I know, again, you have relationships with countless Arkansas players over the years. And Ryan kind of took an unorthodox approach initially to Fayetteville. I wonder, I know it was, again, it's back in this whole thing happened in 2007, his recruiting process. But what do you remember about Ryan's maybe initial recruitment to Arkansas and then how he landed in Fayetteville?
You know, I had to kind of rehash it a little bit. I don't recall talking to Ryan during the recruiting process out of high school. If I did, I don't recall it. And my communication with him actually started really after the process, which is kind of different. But and we communicated a lot after that. But I was just thinking, you know, and this is just speculation on my part because I really was trying to rack my brain to remember things because it's been such a long time. But you know, that in 2006, Mitch Mustaine and obviously Gus and the crew from Shiloh Christian signed and went to Arkansas. And, you know, if you're a quarterback, and again, this, I don't know if this is true or not, if you're a quarterback and you see a quarterback that's, you know, a highly rated quarterback and his high school coach is the OC, that might make you think differently about going to that particular school. Again, that's just me thinking. I don't know if that was the case with Ryan. But and just looking back at some of the stuff that I saw just last night, I mean, it seemed like Arkansas wasn't necessarily in the picture. And then he went to Michigan, and then shortly after that, you know, I think that maybe, you know, it just wasn't the right fit, and he did enroll early at Michigan and go through spring practice, and he played the next in the fall, and then obviously transferred to Arkansas. And I think it was just a perfect situation with Coach Petrino coming. Anybody that plays quarterback or is a skill guy is going to be attracted to at least look at it. Playing for Coach Petrino, and I think it was just a perfect situation for, you know, him and Arkansas to come together again.
We had Tyler Wilson with us yesterday, and I thought one of the interesting things, I've heard him say this before, but, you know, he gets recruited in that transition. He commits to Arkansas when Gus Malzahn was on the staff, and then Petrino, and it kind of works out there. He goes, and then here comes this Ryan Mallett guy with this cannon of an arm. He goes, if I'd have known that, maybe I'd have done something else. But it all worked out for everybody in the end. But I thought that was interesting as he was telling, you know, his relationship with Ryan to our listeners and friends yesterday.
Yeah, and credit Tyler. I mean, how many guys would have stuck around? You know, that, like you said, it all worked out. But in today's college atmosphere, you know, you probably wouldn't see that. You know,
portal.
Buying your time. Yeah, with definitely with the portal. So, that was quite unique. Two guys that would, you know, you haven't seen too many guys, two quarterbacks on the campus of the University of Arkansas too many times that both got drafted by the NFL, and obviously that happened with those guys. But it was a very unique situation then, and would be even more so now.
You think about that stretch there from Ryan to Tyler to Brandon, 3 drafted quarterbacks in a row that all had, you know, multiple seasons in the NFL. I don't think you can go back and I think there's stretches you can find back-to-back starting quarterbacks drafted. I don't think you can find 3 other than that stretch. And I guess in the end, Brandon Allen's probably going to have the longest career of the 3. I mean, Ryan went 7 years, and Brandon may top that. So,
yeah,
Maybe
Yeah,
getting
you're
there
right.
now. I mean, time gets away, but it's pretty amazing that stretch of those three quarterbacks, bang, bang, bang.
Especially, a lot of people didn't, until really Brandon's senior year, didn't see him have the potential to possibly play professional football. But obviously had a great, probably had as good of a season as, especially the last part of the season of his senior year, that I can recall any quarterback having. I mean, he was just on fire. I mean, he was on the money with just every pass. It was just amazing. And plus, that was I think that was Coach Enos' first year, and I think it took some adjustment for him, to understand what he was trying to do, and that's just a process. And late in the season, man, he was amazing. He really was.
Richard Davenport talking a little recruiting here on the Morning Rush. Richard, the current quarterback on campus, KJ Jefferson, has some NFL aspirations as well. But I want to talk about another KJ Jackson, who you've written about. Here's a guy that really, really is trying to get some other kids in the class of 2024. What have you noticed about the conversations that you've had with him and how he really is trying to bring in other commits for this upcoming recruiting class?
Yeah, I mean, it's not especially unusual, especially for quarterbacks, because quarterbacks, hey, they want the best running backs, they want the best linemen, they want the best receivers possible to help them, look good, and he understands that, and also he's recruiting guys on the defensive side of the ball too, but it helps to have somebody like KJ Jackson recruiting for your school, because if you ever talk to him, you're just thoroughly just blown away by the young man. I mean, he's definitely a leader. He's a guy that leads by example, and he's extremely sharp, and he's what you want for a leader of your team. And when you have somebody like that, I think other guys can gravitate towards him, because he just has that it factor when it comes to communicating with other people, and then obviously his resume as a football player is very good. So once he gets on campus, and I think Arkansas fans get an opportunity to know him, and they see him being interviewed, they're going, wow, this guy's impressive. And that's what guys that are just being recruited by him, and guys that are just trying to begin a relationship with him, in the recruiting process, and him talking to them and trying to get them to Arkansas. That's what they're thinking too, because he's such a sharp young man.
You referenced Mitch Mustang a little while ago, and Arkansas's got another high school kid right now that could be considering USC, and that's Kane Archer in Greenwood. And you think about what Lincoln Riley's done with quarterbacks, 2 Heisman Trophy winners, a Heisman Trophy finalist. How difficult do you think that's going to be for Sam Pittman and his staff to potentially fend off a coach like that with the resume that he has out there in Los Angeles?
Time will tell. I think of Kane. I mean, he born and raised a Razorback fan. I think that's obviously going to help, just closer to home, and I think some of it has to do with how's the offense going to look with Coach Enos going forward. Past history says it's going to be very, very good. If you go back and look at what he did his first time here. So, obviously the resume of Lincoln Riley is very, very impressive, but and that may be a place that he goes to. I don't know. I mean, it's very early in the process, but I still think the draw to Arkansas is going to be pretty strong.
Richard, I don't know what the recruiting calendar and dead periods and all that looks like November 29th, but usually a Wednesday night's not a big recruiting day, particularly at 8 o'clock at night, but I think this year's going to be an exception. I think there's going to be a lot of people maybe wanting to, and a lot of different coaches want to get their kids and their recruits in that building when Duke comes to town This is I think the biggest atmosphere, maybe the biggest on-campus opponent you've had, perhaps since UNLV came in 30 years ago.
Yeah, that will be interesting. A lot of kids, will be probably wanting to make that game, and the parents are probably going to say, "Well, you got school the next day," but at the same time, it may not matter. I mean, I think
Dad,
know.
Dad and Mom want to go to that game too.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But it's definitely it's a shame it's not on a Saturday, but yeah, I would imagine there'll be some kids there for sure, and that does create a lot of excitement. But yeah, I understand that it's Duke, but also I guess it's just because obviously you don't play them that much, but Arkansas plays Kentucky on a regular basis, and they're definitely a blue blood, so. It'll be a great atmosphere, like a lot of the atmospheres are for Kentucky, but maybe even more so just because it's such a rarity.
Yeah, I think the rarity of getting to play Duke. It's only the 5th time in program history these two will square up. Only the second time in the regular season. They played that preseason NIT in '92. Other than that, it's been postseason games in the tournament. So, and obviously the first time ever to Fayetteville. So, I mean. It will be a show, even though Coach K's no longer on that bench. It will still be a show when the Blue Devils take the floor.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe it'll lead to Arkansas and Duke playing more in the future because of Duke and hey, they're obviously going to face a great atmosphere, and maybe they'll say, hey, this was fun regardless of the outcome, whether they won or lost, and let's try to do a home-and-home series once in a while. So who knows? That'll
be up to the league offices and I guess ESPN. But I like this ACC SEC arrangement. I wish it was somewhere other than the end of November, and it will depend on how the football season goes, whether we're talking about this at Thanksgiving dinner, the week prior, or whether we're talking about the football season. Hopefully, we're still talking about football and what's to come there in November, not focusing on this game.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think this season in football has a chance to be one of the better ones in quite some time. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but it definitely has a chance. The optimism around Fayetteville and people around the program that I talked to is pretty high. Now, obviously, it's a very tough schedule too. So. But there's a lot of optimism, and I think this has a chance to be a pretty special season.
Arkansas is going to play in Atlanta that Saturday, so you got to plan out your calendar of going on Wednesday. And
I'm available.
Flying out Thursday for that game. And
we'll just send you early to Atlanta.
Nah, I can make both. It'd be for the betterment of the company if I went to both.
Yeah.
Richard,
you need to make sure you get there, Ty. So. Probably need to leave early.
Yeah, I don't think we can make it without you, Ty.
We'll see. Richard, we appreciate the time as always, man. Again, somber circumstances following the passing of Ryan Mallett this week, but it's still fun to talk about some of the memories that we get to cherish and we'll cherish for quite some time.
Yeah, let me just add this, and this is, a lot of times when someone passes, everything's always, said, everything pointed out is always positive, and this is another positive, and it's just the truth. Whenever he took over at Whitehall, and it's just awesome for guys like myself when they reach out to a head coach, and that head coach gets back with you in a pretty timely manner. Well, anytime I reached out to Ryan about any of his kids, it was almost immediate, him getting back with me. And if he couldn't get me the information right then, he'd get it within an hour or two or whatever. And that I think that was just a reflection of how much he loved his kids, and he wanted to promote them and get their names out there and help them with opportunities to be able to play at the next level. And I just wanted to add that.
That's good stuff, Richard. Enjoy the 4th of July, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. We'll see you.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.